I was the mistake they tried to bury. Not in some back alley or family scandal kind of way. No, that would have been too honest. The Vaughns don't do honest. They do legacy, control, appearances, and I ruined all three. My name is Eli Vaughn. And the last time I walked up the front steps of that mansion, I was 24, barely able to breathe from the autoimmune flare that nearly killed me. My mother stood at the top of the marble staircase, heels clicking like gunshots, telling the housekeeper not to touch me because, and I quote, "It's not just her body that's infected. It's her attitude." That was 8 years ago. Tonight, it's Christmas Eve. I'm 32. Standing outside that same house. Same frosted wreath on the door. Same imported pine-scented candles wafting through the cracks. Only this time, I'm not limping from a hospital bed. I'm here to bury what's left of the girl they threw away. My fingers tremble slightly as I fix my coat. Not from fear. That part of me's long dead. It's the cold. Always the cold that gets into my joints first. The disease still lives with me, whispering under my skin. Lupus. Chronic, silent, inconvenient. Kind of like me, I guess. They never forgave me for being the daughter who didn't heal on cue. My brother, Caleb, oh, golden boy Caleb, he walked right into the family business straight from Yale. Vaughn and Pierce Holdings. Real estate royalty with blood as cold as the marble floors they build over. He was always the one they wanted. The one they chose. Me? I was the broken backup plan. The shadow. Funny thing about being sick, people stop seeing you as a threat. And that's when I started building mine. They think I'm still scraping by doing freelance interior consultations in some dusty studio apartment. That I'm alone. Weak. Out of the game. But Helix Core Development? The company that's about to finalize a $200 million buyout of Vaughn and Pierce? That's mine. Every signature they've praised, every phone call they thought was a lifeline? I was on the other end. But I didn't come tonight to gloat. I came for the full circle. I came to look my family in the eye and give them one last chance to see me before I ruin them. I knock once. The door swings open. And there she is. Vivian Vaughn. My mother. As polished as ever. Chanel suit, pearls too tight, eyes like frozen glass. She doesn't hide the pause. Oh, she says flatly. You actually came. Merry Christmas, Mom. Her mouth tugs into something resembling a smile. But I know that look. It's the same one she gave the nurse who told her I might never walk again. Pity curdled with shame. The party started an hour ago, she says, stepping aside just far enough to make me feel unwelcome. I had work, I reply. She scans my outfit. Black dress. Simple. No labels, no shine. Exactly the kind of thing she'd call lower tier. Still playing decorator? She asks. I would have thought you quit by now. But I suppose ambition was never your strong suit. Before I can answer, his voice cuts through. Vivian? Who is it? Henry Vaughn. My father. The architect of our empire. And of my exile. He appears behind her, drink in hand, jaw tight. He doesn't smile when he sees me. Just stares like I tracked dirt onto his Persian rug. Eli, he says. My name sounds like a bruise in his mouth. We made it clear this wasn't the year for unexpected visits. This is an important night for the family, Mom adds. Biggest deal in the company's history. The Helix rep is arriving soon. We need to make a good impression. I almost laugh. She doesn't know I am the Helix rep. I just wanted to say hi to Caleb, I say quietly, testing their temperature. It's Christmas. Caleb's with investors, Dad snaps. He doesn't need distractions. That word again. Distraction. That's what I became after the diagnosis. Not someone who needed support. Just a liability with pretty eyes and a slow immune system. I'll be quick, I say. But before anyone can stop me, headlights hit the driveway. A black SUV rolls up. The Vaughns straighten immediately. Vivian adjusts her hair. Henry tosses his drink. A tall man steps out. Tailored charcoal suit. Sharp jaw. Steel confidence. Jude Rayner, my COO at Helix and the only person on this planet who knows who I really am. He strides up the steps, greeting my parents like royalty. Mr. and Mrs. Vaughn, he says smoothly. Apologies for the late hour. They beam at him. That fake glimmer they save for bank accounts. Then he turns to me. Boss, Jude nods. You ready? Dead silence. Vivian blinks. Her lips twitch. Henry's grip tightens on the doorframe. What did he call you? My mother whispers. Jude doesn't flinch. Ms. Vaughn is the CEO of Helix Core. I report directly to her. My father goes pale. You, he chokes. But you're sick. You were never. Enough, I say, stepping fully into the light. I built Helix from the ground up while you called me a failure. Every acquisition, every negotiation, every lifeline you begged for. That was me. They don't speak. They can't. Behind them, I hear the sound of clinking glasses. Laughter. Caleb's voice carrying through the hallway, probably bragging about locking down the Helix deal. He has no idea. Shall we finalize the deal terms, Ms. Vaughn? Jude asks. I tilt my head. Actually, let's go inside. It is Christmas after all. And as I walk past them, stepping into the home that never felt like mine, I feel the heat rising behind me. Rage, confusion, disbelief. But this is just the beginning. They thought I was the weak one. They're about to learn how dangerous the discarded can become. I used to think rock bottom was a hospital bed. Fluorescent lights. Beeping monitors. My skin gray. Muscles stiff. My mother sitting at the edge of the room, scrolling through real estate listings like I wasn't dying 5 feet away. That was my first taste of what family really meant. But real rock bottom? That came later. It wasn't a hospital. It was silence. After I walked out of that house the first time, I thought someone would call. Caleb. Dad. Anyone. But days passed. Then weeks. Then Christmas cards showed up at my apartment with my name misspelled. Like I was some intern they barely remembered. I was 24. No job. No savings. Sick. Alone. And still, somewhere in the back of my soul, I was waiting for them to come rescue me. They never did. So I rescued myself. After college, I'd interned at Vaughn Pierce for a summer. Copy girl. Calendar bitch. Caleb made sure I never touched real work. Said I was too emotional and too slow. I spent that summer watching men in suits negotiate million-dollar properties while I fetched their almond milk lattes. But I listened. I learned. And I stole every blueprint they ever ignored. The first year on my own was a bloodbath. The disease flared hard. I slept on a friend's couch. Took shady consulting gigs just to pay for meds. People saw me as a fragile woman who'd never make it past a second draft. So I stopped being fragile. I started building Helix Core with the scraps no one else wanted. Abandoned lots, condemned warehouses, forgotten neighborhoods. Places my family called blighted. They were wrong. They weren't blighted. They were buried. Like me. And I was going to resurrect both. 5 years. That's how long I worked in the shadows. No company name on paperwork. No photo ops. Just LLCs and shell corporations stacked like armor. Every deal Helix made was a middle finger to the empire that threw me away. But it wasn't enough. Not until they felt it. Not until they needed me. The Vaughn Christmas party was a tradition in name only. The real tradition was humiliation. One year I brought a friend who used a wheelchair, my +1. Vivian spent the entire night pretending he didn't exist. The next day, she sent me an email suggesting I choose more presentable companions. Another year, I showed up with a cane and a visible rash from the meds. Caleb made a toast that included the words survival of the fittest. Everyone laughed. I didn't forget. So this year, when Jude called me from the car, he said what we both knew was true. They're not just expecting Helix's rep. They're expecting salvation. Let them. Back in the house, the air smells like cinnamon and shame. The chandeliers sparkle like they're proud of something. I can hear classical music playing from the piano room. Every guest here has worn a mask for decades. I used to wear one too. But tonight I've peeled it off. I step into the foyer. All eyes turn. Caleb's by the fireplace, laughing with 2 investors and his fiancée. She sees me first, tightens her grip on his arm like I'm a roach she doesn't want crawling too close. What is she doing here? Caleb asks, not bothering to lower his voice. Vivian opens her mouth, but Jude beats her to it. Ms. Vaughn is here to finalize the Helix agreement, he says crisply. As CEO. The room cracks open like ice under a boot. Caleb stares at me like I just set fire to the Christmas tree. You're Helix, he says slowly like his brain can't process it. Surprise, I say. Turns out the family leper grew fangs. He laughs once. Sharp. That's impossible. Helix is a $1 billion portfolio. $1 billion too, actually. Thanks to a few developments you passed on. Downtown East? Remember that. I tilt my head. You said it was too risky. That's... He starts, but my father steps forward. If this is some kind of power play. No, I cut him off. This is justice. You taught me everything about how not to run a company. And I learned. Vivian's voice is glass thin. We didn't know. You didn't care. Caleb's fiancé, always ready to lick whatever boots are in style, suddenly beams. Eli, darling, we'd love for you to come to the wedding. I don't even look at her. 3 weeks ago you told Caleb it would be embarrassing to have me there. Remember? Her face turns the color of spoiled milk. In the corner of the room, Jude sets down a sleek leather folder. Inside is everything. The acquisition terms. The debt restructuring. The board reshuffle that strips Caleb of any real power. My family gasps when they see the numbers. I see Henry's hand tremble. You planned this, he breathes. You've been planning this for years. Yes. Why? I stare at him. And the answer rises like blood in my throat. Because you made me feel like I didn't matter. Like my disease made me defective. Like I was better off invisible. And for a while. I believed you. Vivian's face softens. A trick. She thinks I still want her approval. You've made your point, she says gently. Now be reasonable. No. One word. Heavy. Final. After the party, I sit in my old car outside the mansion, staring up at the windows. Caleb's in the upstairs lounge. I can see him pacing, phone to ear. Probably calling board members, trying to spin the story. He has no idea he's already been replaced. Jude taps on the passenger window and gets in. You sure you're okay? He asks. I nod slowly. I just saw the moment my mother realized she can't buy her way out of this. She looked like she saw a ghost. She did. Because the version of me they buried? She's clawing her way out. And she's hungry. People say revenge is sweet. They're wrong. It's complicated. Messy. It doesn't taste like victory. It tastes like metal. Like the blood you bite down on to keep from screaming when your own family calls you a disgrace. I didn't come here for sweetness. I came to make them choke on what they spit out years ago. The next morning, the Vaughns arrive at the Helix Tower at exactly 9 a.m. On time for once. Henry, Vivian, Caleb, their attorney, their shame tucked behind polished shoes and tailored suits. Jude meets them in the boardroom with his usual icy grace. I watch them enter from behind a one-way glass panel in my office. Vivian scans the room like she's in a luxury boutique. Henry heads straight for the chair at the head of the table. It's a small detail, but it matters. When I finally walk in, I don't say anything. I just sit at the head. And Jude places the documents in front of me. Henry doesn't protest. Not anymore. Let's review the final terms, I say. Silence. You could hear a pin drop on marble. The meeting is brutal. Clause after clause, we strip the old empire bare. Voting control, financial oversight, board restructuring, Caleb's position reduced to a glorified assistant under a director he once mocked. Every piece of arrogance they ever wielded gets filed into an acquisition contract signed with ink that smells like vengeance. Vivian tries to object when we reach the part about freezing the family trust payouts. That money is protected, she says sharply. Not anymore, I reply. It's tied to company performance. And Vaughn and Pierce has been hemorrhaging money since Caleb's River Point disaster. He bristles. That wasn't my fault. The zoning board was bribed, I finish. We have emails. And a whistleblower. His face drains of color. Vivian leans in, voice dripping honey. Eli, this isn't who you are. I look her dead in the eyes. You don't know who I am. But it's later, after the contracts are signed and the lawyers shuffle out, that the confrontation hits its sharpest point. Just me, Caleb, and a glass wall overlooking the city. I don't get it, he says quietly. You won. So why does it still feel like you're trying to kill us? I laugh, but there's no humor in it. You still don't get it, do you? Try me. I step closer. You told your friends I was faking my illness for attention. I know. You laugh when I missed my college graduation because I was in a flare so bad I couldn't walk. I was a kid. You were 21. He looks away. Dad always said you had a chip on your shoulder. No. I had a knife in my back. His jaw tightens. We're family. No, I say. Family doesn't look at you bleeding on the floor and ask if you're going to ruin the party. He's quiet for a while. Then softly, did you ever think about just coming back? Saying, hey, I built something. Look at me. Why make it war? I stare out the window. The city below glitters oblivious. I did come back, I whisper. Christmas Eve. I stood outside that door and gave them a chance. You all slammed it shut. I turned to him finally. This isn't war, Caleb. This is the consequence of forgetting I existed. But then he says something I don't expect. I got tested last month. What? I've been having symptoms. fatigue, inflammation. They're checking for autoimmune stuff. My throat closes. You think it's lupus? I ask. He shrugs. Maybe? Probably not. Could be nothing. But it scared me. For the first time, I got it, what you went through. And for a second, just a second, the armor cracks. That's the thing about revenge, it doesn't prepare you for sincerity. It's hard to know if you're being manipulated or mirrored. I'm sorry, he says. I don't know if that's enough. I don't either. Later that night, I sit alone in the penthouse office. The documents are filed. The ink is dry. Helix now owns Vaughn and Pierce. I should feel powerful. Instead, I feel disoriented. Like I've climbed a mountain only to realize the view doesn't erase the pain of the climb. Jude enters quietly. The media team's preparing the announcement. You'll be front-page business news by morning. I nod. He walks to the window, watching the skyline with me. They're going to paint you as the villain, he says. The sick girl who became a corporate killer. Let them. He looks at me carefully. Are you okay? I hesitate. Then, no. And then the words tumble out. When I was 17, I heard Mom tell a doctor that if I didn't get better soon, I was going to ruin Caleb's future. That she wished she could trade my body for his ambition. Jude doesn't flinch. He just says, I wish I'd been there. You were, I whisper. You just didn't know it yet. There's a knock at the door. Vivian. She walks in like it's still her company, like nothing has changed. Like I'm still 16 and begging her to come to the hospital with me instead of Caleb's regatta. You have a moment? She asks sweetly. No. She smiles like it's a game. I was thinking, maybe we could rebrand. Bring you in as the face of the new company. Vaughn women rising together. Could be a powerful narrative. I stand. Stop. Excuse me. You don't get to spin this. We're still your parents. You were never parents. You were judges. And I spent a decade on trial. She steps closer. What do you want from us, Eli? I already got it, I say. You. Sitting in my office. Asking me for scraps. I walk around the desk and hand her a photo. It's from last year's Christmas, me alone in a hospital room after a brief scare. No visitors. No flowers. Just a city skyline and a bruise for line. I took this the night you hosted the charity gala for children with chronic illness. Vivian's face collapses. I speak without mercy. That's the night you told reporters you knew what it was like to care for someone sick. You liar. She leaves without a word. And I finally exhale. But the real twist doesn't come until the next day. An internal Helix email. Anonymous tip. Urgent subject line. It's a screenshot. Jude. My COO. My ally. Texting someone from Vaughn and Pierce. Don't worry. She's emotional. I'll keep her in check. My blood runs cold. Even now, betrayal still knows how to find me. There are two kinds of betrayal. The kind you expect, the slow knife that's already part of your spine. And the kind that sucker punches your lungs and leaves you gasping on the floor. Jude was the second kind. I stared at the screen. The message burned behind my eyelids. Don't worry. She's emotional. I'll keep her in check. 16 words. That's all it took to collapse the one person I thought I could trust. Jude Rayner. My right hand. My COO. The man who helped build Helix from blueprint to skyline. He called me emotional. That wasn't just a betrayal. That was a trigger. Because when you're a woman with a disease, everything you do is labeled that way. Rage? Emotional. Assertiveness? Emotional. Survival? Emotional. I'd been surviving on emotional energy for years. But now I was ready to burn. I didn't confront him right away. No. First, I did what the Vaughns taught me. I gathered proof. Quietly. Strategically. Like a surgeon removing rot from the inside out. Within 2 days, I had everything. 3 wire transfers to a shell company owned by Caleb Vaughn. Email threads between Jude and Henry. Strategic updates about Helix's acquisition strategy. He wasn't just selling me out. He was undermining the company from inside. And the worst part? He probably thought I'd be too weak to fight back. They underestimated the sick girl. Again. On the 3rd day, I called a board meeting. Emergency session. No agenda. Just tension. Jude walked in with his usual easy charm. Buttoned up, cufflinks gleaming. The same way he looked the first time we pitched investors in a windowless warehouse. He gave me a smile that used to mean something. Now it meant war. Let's keep this brief, I said, sliding a thick folder across the table. He flipped it open. Froze. Silence. I looked at every board member in the room. What you're seeing is irrefutable. Corporate sabotage. Insider leaks. Collusion with our former parent company. Someone gasped. I think it was Marla, the CFO. Jude's face didn't move. Not an inch. You're serious, he said finally. Deadly. I was trying to protect you, he said. You were spiraling. The revenge thing, it's gotten out of hand. He used that tone. Calm. Reasonable. The one men use when they want to make women look hysterical. I leaned in. Voice ice cold. You sold me out for a seat at a sinking table. You sided with people who made me feel like I was better off dead. He had no comeback. Just silence. Then I did something I swore I never would. I showed them the photo. The one from the hospital. Christmas Eve. Pale skin. Hollow eyes. An oxygen tube in my nose. This is who I was when I built Helix. Alone. Sick. But I never stopped building. I turned to Jude. You think I was emotional? You're damn right. I felt every second of my exile. And I used it to lay bricks. One by one, the board voted. Jude Rayner, removed from office. Effective immediately. He didn't say goodbye. Just walked out of the building like a man who realized he bet on the wrong ghost. That night, I sat alone in my office. No lights. Just the hum of the city. My joints ached. The lupus flared angry hot. The pain crept into my knees, my fingers, my spine. The price of victory. But I didn't reach for meds. Not yet. I wanted to feel it. All of it. Because pain reminds you that you're alive. And I hadn't spent the last 8 years building an empire just to be polite. I'd come too far. The next day, I walked into the Vaughn estate. Uninvited. Vivian was hosting a charity luncheon. Ribbon cutting. All the polished people in pearls pretending they gave a damn about anything but status. The moment I stepped onto the lawn, the room stiffened. Vivian's smile faltered, then snapped back into place like a mask. Eli, how wonderful. Let's not pretend. I'm in the middle of a speech. You're in the middle of a farce. Caleb stood beside her. Red-eyed. Defeated. I'd heard the rumors his autoimmune test came back positive. The diagnosis hadn't sunk in yet, but it would. I approached the podium. Gasps. I won't stay long, I said. Just wanted to return something. From my bag, I pulled out the plaque they gave me at 16. Most promising Vaughn. They stripped it from my bedroom when I got sick. I dropped it at Vivian's feet. You can have it back. I don't need a trophy to know who I am. Then I turned and left, heels clicking like a countdown. Back at Helix HQ, my team waited. We were launching a new initiative, the Legacy Project. Grants for disabled entrepreneurs. Startup support for people like me, those dismissed, underestimated, disqualified. For every time someone like Vivian told a sick girl she'd never matter, I'd fund someone else's rebellion. That evening, a courier delivered a letter. Handwritten. Heavy parchment. No return address. Inside, an old photo of me and Caleb as kids. I was 9. He was 12. We were building a pillow fort. I was smiling. He wasn't. On the back, he'd written, You were always the strong one. I just had better PR. No apology. No plea. Just acknowledgement. And somehow, that hurt more than anything. Because part of me still wanted a brother. The pain flared again. I sat in the dark, alone with my empire and my ghosts. But I wasn't the same girl they cast out. I'd crossed the line. And there was no going back. Some people get closure from a hug. I got mine from a boardroom vote. Unanimous. Final. Permanent. Caleb Vaughn, my brother, stripped of his remaining shares in Vaughn and Pierce Holdings for financial misconduct and internal fraud. A clean sweep. Engineered, executed, and signed off by me. The boy they crowned king? Dethroned by the sister they abandoned. And it wasn't about punishment anymore. It was about removal. The audit revealed everything. The bribes. The funneling of company funds into personal shell accounts. Caleb had been trying to cushion his fall from grace since the Helix deal closed, gambling that his last name would protect him. It didn't. The Vaughns spent decades pretending our family was built on legacy. But I proved it was built on lies. And I was done playing along. The day the board made it official, Caleb didn't even show up. He sent an email. 4 lines. No apology. Just an excuse about needing time to deal with his diagnosis. The same diagnosis I got 8 years ago. Funny how fast the world feels different when it's your body failing you. Funny how the people who once laughed at your cane suddenly understand what it's like to feel betrayal on a cellular level. That night, I didn't celebrate. I walked the city instead. No driver. No security. Just me. My body. The pain that never really left. And I thought about how this all started. Not with ambition. Not with revenge. But with a hospital bed and a mother who flinched when I reached for her hand. The next morning I found a package on my desk. A small velvet box. No label. No note. Inside, a pair of earrings. Pearls. Vivian's signature. She always said pearls were for proper women. I dropped them in the trash without blinking. The press caught wind of the shakeup fast. Disgraced heir removed from empire by sister CEO. Eli Vaughn. From sick girl to powerhouse. The legacy killer. I hated that one. Not because it wasn't true, but because they still couldn't frame my story without dragging my illness into the headline. Like my disease was the villain and not the people who used it to erase me. But I let it go. Because some stories rewrite themselves over time. And I had work to do. Helix expanded into 3 new states. Our first legacy project was fully funded. A young architect named Kira who had MS and had been turned down by every firm in the city. She cried in my office when I said, "We believe in vision, not resumes." She asked if I had anyone to thank for giving me a shot. I told her the truth. No. I had to make my own. Christmas came again. A full year since I walked back into that house as a stranger. An invitation arrived. White envelope. Gold lettering. Same script as always. You are cordially invited to the Vaughn family Christmas gala. Only this time it was being hosted at a hotel. Not the mansion. The Vaughns had sold it. Rumor was too much debt. Not enough pride left to keep the curtains open. I went. Not to make peace. Not for closure. But because I wanted to see it. The fallout. Vivian greeted me in a silver gown that didn't quite fit. Henry stood behind her, older somehow. Smaller. Like time had been unkind. Eli, she said with a plastic smile. You came. I was curious. We were hoping maybe this year could be different. I looked around. Fewer guests. Less sparkle. Cheaper wine. You mean now that you need my reputation to fill a room? She flinched. Henry stepped in. We know we didn't treat you fairly. Don't call it unfair, I said. Call it what it was. Cruelty. Disdain. A performance of family for anyone who could benefit you. Caleb appeared behind them ghost-like. Paler. Thinner. He didn't speak. Just gave a small nod. For a second I saw the boy from the pillow fort again. But that boy was gone. And I was not a little girl anymore. I left before dessert. No speeches. No final blows. Just silence. Because sometimes the greatest revenge isn't destruction. It's distance. That night, back at Helix HQ, I stood alone in the lobby. The wall of photos was freshly updated. Ribbon cuttings. Community centers. First-generation business owners. People who were never supposed to succeed but did anyway. Because someone finally opened the door. My phone buzzed. A text. Vivian Vaughn. The door is always open for you. We miss you. Come home. I stared at it. Thought about the cold marble floors. The night she looked at me like I was a disappointment she forgot to return. And I typed. I've built better doors. And homes that actually feel like home. You're welcome to visit. But bring respect. Or don't come at all. 1 year later, Helix broke ground on our biggest project yet. A medical complex. State-of-the-art. Holistic. Staffed by people who actually listen. The name? The Vaughn Center for Resilience. Not for them. For people like me. People who got told to give up. Who were made to feel like burdens. Who were silenced, ignored, or exiled for not being enough. We're not just enough. We're essential. Success was never the revenge. Being seen was. Creating space was. Becoming the person I needed when I was sick, alone, and scared. That's the legacy I built. And if they want to rewrite the story, they'll have to live with the truth I carved into stone. You tried to bury me. But I wasn't dead. I was rooting. And now, I've grown too big to ignore.